Know much about him. He was bred in Florida. He was purchased by a Puerto Rican couple for $15,000 a year ago. They took him back to San Juan. He won 13 straight races there. 2 more here. He is trained by a Hall of Fame trainer in Lázaro Barrera. He has on his back today the leading rider at this meeting in Gary Stevens, who's also the leading money winner among jockeys in 1990 around the United States. And he is currently the big favorite at 3-5 here at Santa Anita. So let's take a closer look at Mister Frisky.
Mr. Frisky is a one of a kind. He's nice to be around him, nice to train. It's a little pet. He kisses you. He loves to be, somebody give attention to him. He comes from a little country, Puerto Rico, where he was a real champion.
The Puerto Rican Wonder Horse. As a 2-year-old, 12 races, 12 wins, not one close call. Then a 13th victory as a 3-year-old. But Mr. Frisky has his critics. They point to his humble background and question his pedigree, but his trainer likens him to a certain fighter.
His body reminds me Julio Cesar Chavez. He got no 1 ounce fat of him, and he can punch like a mule.
Mr. Frisky stumbled at the start of his American debut, and for the first time he had to race from off the pace, but in the stretch he had moved to the front, defeating the quality sprinter Tarascon. The San Rafael Stakes at a mile was next, and Mr. Frisky won again. That 15th straight win tied an 82-year-old record, and Mr. Frisky and Barrera try to break that mark today. That record was set then by a horse named Colin. By the way, no thoroughbred has won as many races as Mr. Frisky since Citation 40 years ago. The race conditions now for the Santa Anita Derby. The purse, $500,000. The track, as you see, is fast. The distance is 1 1/8 miles. None of these horses has ever gone that far. The temperature is 69 degrees, and let's go to the odds board. Real Cash is the second choice. The Lucas Colt is 3-1. Balakov and Single Dawn are both trained by Ron McAnally. They do not have to be coupled, however, in California. They run as separate entries. Music Prospector is 25-1. 2 other long shots, Video Ranger and Assyrian Pirate. Mr. Frisky is the big favorite at 3-5, and Warcraft will break from the outside is the third choice. With Charles C. Canty right now, we've talked so much about Mr. Frisky, but a couple of other horses could very well win this race.
Well, we've got a lot of lightly raced colts here, so maybe it's better to talk trainers. We've got Wayne Lucas and Charlie Whittingham. They've won the last 3 runnings of the Santa Anita Derby, so you have to respect their 2 colts. Charlie has Warcraft, who was just a maiden a couple of months ago, and Wayne sends out Real Cash, who really got happy when he ran around 2 turns for the first time and carried his speed nicely. They both have got the ability, these two, to pressure Mr. Frisky enough so we can find out what he's really made of today.
Each of these horses would love to be making a trip to Louisville to race in the Kentucky Derby 4 weeks from today. Who better to put that into perspective than our man up on the roof, Mr. Jack Whitaker. Jack?
Thank you, Al. The Eastern Racing Establishment has always found it difficult to take seriously a horse that's trained and raced in California. But since the last 4 Kentucky Derby winners have been California horses, that's changed. And I think this regional rivalry has been a good thing for the sport. What it's done is made the Santa Anita Derby, really, the Western finals for the Kentucky Derby. Whichever colt comes out of this today, having had the best trip and in good condition, will be #1 in the West to go against whoever's #1 in the East. It will also be a colt probably trained by either Wayne Lucas, Charlie Whittingham, or Lázaro Barrera. Among them, these 3 trainers have won 5 Kentucky Derbies. They have tasted the bliss of Kentucky in the spring, and they'll really be trying today.
And that man, Lázaro Barrera, has tasted that bliss twice with Bold Forbes and Triple Crown winner Affirmed. The dapper one, D. Wayne Lucas, tasting the bliss once a couple of years back with Winning Colors. And the man on the right, Charlie Whittingham, and the shot coming up twice with Ferdinand and Sunday Silence. And the guy on the left knows his way to a winner's circle as well. John Forsythe. Back for the running of the Santa Anita Derby coming up in just a moment, and we're going to take a look once again at the current odds. Real Cash is the second choice, ridden by Angel Cordero. Balakov with Russell Bays up. Alex Solis is on Single Dawn. He was thrown from his mount during the running of the last race 40 minutes ago on the grass. Got up, he's fine. He's on the back of Single Dawn. Music Prospector is 25-1. Video Ranger, number 5, 35-1. Assyrian Pirate, not much backing. Mister Frisky opened at 1-5. He is currently being held at 3-5. And Warcraft, ridden by Chris McCarron, is the third choice at 9-2. Now, Chauncey, what about the strategy in this race? Mr. Frisky loves to go wire to wire. You can see him right there. He is washy. Also, Real Cash is a speed horse. Will we see a speed duel here?
No, I think not at all. Gary Stevens, who you see there aboard Mr. Frisky, who appears to have gotten a little worked up in the post parade there. He's a bit washy. He has said that his colt has a really good disposition, that he can relax, he can lay back. He doesn't have to go for that lead. He breaks from the number 7 post. Gary will be able to look to his inside and look down and see this horse breaking from the number 1. That's Real Cash, Angel Cordero aboard. This is the Wayne Lucas colt who carried his speed around 2 turns for the first time so nicely in the San Felipe. And I suspect he will be on the lead. With him will probably be Bala Cove. This colt here, a Group 1 winner in England. He ran very nicely here on the dirt, shows speed. He'll be on the lead, too.
For the race call now, the outstanding race caller at Santa Anita, upstairs to Trevor Denman. Trevor?
Thank you very much, Al. We take a look there at Single Dawn going in. Here is Mr. Frisky, Gary Stevens in those blue colors. Was sweating up just a little, but looks very well. In the post parade, he was outstanding. Here's the fractious horse in the team today. That's the 4 Music Prospector. Big long shot up there at 25-1. One last look on the board. Mr. Frisky is 3-5. The last one to load now will be Warcraft on the outside. Warcraft is going in. Hey, flag is up. And away they go. They all came away perfectly. Mr. Frisky, smooth as silk. One from the outside, goes straight to the lead. Real Cash down on the inside. Warcraft is going up to go with the early speed today. Then it's Assyrian Pirate. Inside of him, Music Prospector, just 2 lengths off the leaders. It's another 4 back to Bala Cove. Then we come back to Single Dawn, 8 off the leaders. And the early trailer, Video Ranger. Past the 7/8 pole, and Angel Cordero's taken Real Cash off to the lead. Mr. Frisky tracking him 1 length back in second. The pace, a good one up there. Music Prospector scrapes the paint in third. Chris McCarron in the red on Warcraft is only 2.5 lengths off the leaders. Then we come back to Assyrian Pirate. He's having to be asked to keep up. Bala Cove is 7 off the leaders. It's another 3.5 back to Single Dawn, and the trailer, Video Ranger. They go to the half-mile pole in the Santa Anita Derby. Real Cash at the rail. Gary Stevens lets out a notch on Mr. Frisky, and he goes up to put pressure on Real Cash, but Real Cash is finding some more down at the rail. 3/8 of a mile to go now. Real Cash at the rail. Mr. Frisky outside of him. 2 back to Warcraft in third, and Music Prospector at the rail. 5/16 of a mile to go, and Mr. Frisky now gets the lead on the outside. Those ears are cocked once again. He's full of run and loving it out here on the lead. Mr. Frisky, Gary Stevens peeps behind. He must be so happy with what he sees, because he knows that Mr. Frisky has won the Santa Anita Derby. He's romping again. Video Ranger coming on for second, but it's Mr. Frisky to take his unique record of 16 straight wins.
Otra para Mister Frisky.
Impressive winner he was. Finishing up second was Video Ranger. Warcraft was third, and there's a smiling Lázaro Barrera. The time in the board, 1 minute 49 seconds. Al, that was nothing so short of sensational.
And he has answered a lot of questions, and I would have to suspect at this point, despite Summer Squall, unless Summer Squall looks absolutely brilliant next week at Keeneland, that Mr. Frisky will be the favorite, barring injury, between now and Derby Day. Mr. Frisky has just won his 16th in a row. We mentioned that in 14 of his prior 15 victories, he had gone wire to wire. 2 races ago in the San Vicente, he stumbled out of the gate, came from 4th. And Charlie, let's go back to the start. Here he is coming out of the 7-hole Warcraft 8.
And he breaks sharply and alertly, the good athlete that he is. Now he breaks away, he gets off, and actually the speed duel that we thought would not develop does indeed. Gary runs up there. It's not really a speed duel, though. He's really got control of his horse here, and as they go around the first turn, that's Real Cash. Real Cash on the lead and showing the speed we expected from him. Mr. Frisky rated off his quarters, but going nicely, under control here. Gary Stevens wrapped up on him and just inching up nicely. They've gone the first quarter in 22-3, the half in 46-2. This is not really burning anybody out here. And as they turn for home, Gary Stevens, notice he never turned his stick over. He never really loosened up on this colt. Angel had started to ride Real Cash going down the backside. And as they turn for home, Gary begins to let him run, and there he goes. He just draws off and leaves them behind. Is he for real? Well, yes, he is.
His doubters are fewer and fewer. They all said, well, what does it mean to race in Puerto Rico? He won 13 straight. Big deal, said the doubters. But 3 here on the Santa Anita track, and it's on to Louisville.
Absolutely on to Louisville now. Whatever everyone is doing back in the East, they're watching. They're saying, yes, he is for real. This will probably scare off a few more of these. But this horse is for real, and he is going to Kentucky.
Mr. Frisky, Gary Stevens, the leading rider at this meet, chalking up another one. As he wins the Santa Anita Derby, the unofficial results, Mr. Frisky the winner, Video Ranger the big long shot, second, Warcraft was third, Real Cash fading out of the money. As we look at Barrera, back in a moment.
Of this country, but just realize this weekend. They're playing the Masters in Augusta, where Mr. Raymond Floyd and Jack Nicklaus are vying with younger people for that. Baseball will begin for real on Monday. And here at Santa Anita today, we've had a teenage mutant thoroughbred, Mr. Frisky, who now has a rendezvous in Kentucky 1 month from today. Believe the calendar, spring is here. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike.
And Jack, we're back in the winner's circle. Laz Barrera's here. Gary Stevens is here. Laz, confirm what I think everybody would have to know. You're not going to race him now between now and Louisville, right?
The horse run his eyeball out today to prove that it's a real good horse.
Everybody believes you right now. Gary, take us through a bit of the ride here. We're going to pick it up on the far turn.
Well, I was just clocking the horse on the lead all the way, and about the 3/8 pole, I knew I had him anytime I wanted him. Angel started pecking at his horse, riding him pretty hard around the turn, and I hadn't asked for my horse for anything at that point. When we hit the quarter pole, I asked him hard. He kind of threw his head up and seen all the cameras and everything at the 8th pole, and I reached and cracked him left-handed a couple of times, and he went on about his business. This horse got an unbelievable stride. I mean, he just reaches. You can see him looking up right there. Reach and nail him a couple times left-handed. He's back at his business now.
Laz, what were your instructions regarding a possible speed duel developing?
I told him, I do that to him. Use your head, you're the greatest. And one thing I got to tell him to him, he's been declared a national Puerto Rico zone now.
No question about that. Gentlemen, congratulations, and we'll see you in Louisville. Okay, we're going to take a look right now at the official results for the Santa Anita Derby. Mr. Frisky, 320, so he went off at 3-5, $3 to place and $260 to show. Video Ranger came from behind to finish second. The long shot paid $11.20 and $4.80. Warcraft finishing third paid $3. The Exacta 7.5 paying $162. And let us take a look right now at the order of finish. Mr. Frisky, Video Ranger coming up to finish second. Warcraft third. Real Cash faded back to fourth. And Single Dawn, Music Prospector, Assyrian Pirate, and Bala Cove finished last. So Mr. Frisky, the winner of the Santa Anita Derby. Al Michaels for Charles C. Candy, Jack Whitaker, Trevor Denman saying so long from Arcadia, California.